So we were just talking. Yeah. Charlie Duke, 10th man to walk on the moon.
Man, how did you find that guy? Because I'm all about that type of stuff. And I'm going, I didn't even know he was still alive, honestly.
Only four living moonwalkers are alive. Buzz Aldrin, Charlie Duke, Dr. Harris Schmidt, and David Scott. And I can't get in touch with Schmidt or Scott. I'm trying to get Buzz. I can't get a response from his people. But I found websites for Dr. Aldrin and for General Charlie Duke, and they have these it's like press inquiries, blah blah. So I just do what I normally do, have my little pitch, and I just send it to every department. And eventually, I'm like, if I just upset enough people or annoy enough people, it somehow gets kicked upstairs to whoever, and that's how I get them. And just be a little pest. But one of Mr. Aldrin's I guess secretaries or head of whatever PR, or his name is Charlie. All right, so I emailed that whole group, and then I found Charlie Duke, and so I emailed him. And I think I had copy, and it was after work. This was after like a 12-hour shift. It was like 3 a.m. I was exhausted. And I think seeing his name as Charlie, I think I forgot that I had just sent a message to a secretary named Charlie. So I was like, hi, big fan of the Apollo program. Would you be able to get Dr. Aldrin on my show? And I got a response that said, hey, Tommy, I'll pass this along to Dr. Aldrin's PR guy. But I was thinking, why would a PR guy tell me that he's passing it on to PR? Right. And so I looked at it, and it said sent from my iPhone, and I was like, and I looked at the email, and it said Charlie Duke, and I was like, so I didn't know that he didn't have like a team of people. It's just him.
Right.
So I sent an email back, and I was like, I think there was some misunderstanding, because I'm asking for Mr. Duke to be on my podcast. I wanted to talk to you, 10th man that was on the moon, correct? And he said, hey, Tommy, why don't you tell me about your podcast? And that's when I was like, oh, my God, I'm in touch. So I back and forth, and I was trying to get him on, and, he was busy, and maybe next week, and he gets a lot of inquiries, and he doesn't really do them anymore. And finally, I was like, can we do 30 minutes? He's like, let me think about it. And the next day, I was like, can we do 10 minutes?
Right.
10 on and off. And he said it in the podcast. He said, I normally don't do these, but you talked me into it. So...
Nice. Good for you.
So I talked to a guy yesterday for a half an hour who walked on the moon.
People still think we haven't done it.
Oh, I know,
That's
right?
what blows my mind.
Well, I just don't interact with them. I don't even confront them. Right. I don't argue. To me, they are. It's as arguing with a cow. It's just. It's like me trying to explain my proof for how I got this calculus answer to just a bovine beast. And I'm like, who's the real idiot, the cow or the person trying to explain it to the cow? So who's the idiot, the moon denier or the guy trying to explain it to the moon denier? Yeah. But,
man,
I know, dude, I'm
telling you, when I, as the historian with the Stealth Fighter, when I interviewed John Stapp back in the 90s, that just starting to watch that podcast you had there reminded me of that particular interview because, an older guy who literally made history. Now, I was thinking, there was a time when I first started in the Air Force, it wasn't so glamorous, at least where I started off, because I just will give you a quick background because it's nothing glorious, but maybe it's kind of fun.
Sure,
but,
go.
Back in the late 80s, early 90s, we had the Rodney King riots there in L.A. And what was really interesting is during the Rodney King riots, they literally were burning down parts of L.A., kind of like what you see right now throughout the country. And they burnt down the MEPS recruiting station. So that's the station where when you sign in with a military recruiter, they would send you there to get your physical and everything.
Okay.
Check you out. So I lived in Southern California, so it was just an hour or so drive or whatever to go to the MEP station there in LA and get your physical. And after that point, if everything checks out, they're sending you to basic training at that point. Well, that station had burned down because of the Rodney King riots. I remember watching it on TV and everything. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And so the U.S. Air Force bought me a plane ticket and flew me out to...
That was the alarm for this episode. Sorry.
No problem. Well, they flew me out to Phoenix, Arizona. That, for some reason, that was the next closest MEP station. To me, it was far enough away from all the rioting and all this other stuff. So they fly me out there. I scored very well on the entrance exam, the ASVAB and all that stuff. And so I'm thinking, all right, I wanted to go in as some type of engineer guy and just get that skill set and have the military train me. If I stay in, I stay in. And if I don't, then I'll have some skill set, get out. A lot of men and women think that when they go into something like that. Well, so I go through the MEP station. Again, they flew me out to Phoenix, paid for me to spend the night, all that stuff. I get through all the testing, and then I come to the last test of the day after being there all day, and it's the color blindness test. And so this doc has this book, and he just flips the pages, and it's got all those circle colored dot things on there. And I'm supposed to call out, oh, I see a 16, I see an 8, I see a 5, whatever it is. I see nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I took those tests when I was younger and had no problem with it. But he's flipping, and then he just stops and he says, okay, you can actually start telling me when you see the thing. He does it again. Nothing. I see nothing. And they go, you're colorblind. And I go, what the colorblind? What the heck are you talking about? So automatically, that disqualified me from going in certain jobs in the Air Force. For example, they probably didn't want me working air traffic control and having to look at that screen. And
sure.
Yeah, sure. I can't tell that between Russian MiG or whatever. So yeah, come on in. So that was bad. They didn't want me apparently becoming a pharmacist, counting out all the colored pills and handing the wrong prescription to somebody. I'm like, I don't see the problem, but okay, I can see that.
Benadryl versus oxycodone.
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't want me to go into engineering and work with electronics or avionics systems and maybe cross the wrong wire. The pilot's flying, drop the laser guided bomb and nothing happens, right? Or blows himself up. Yeah. Probably not a good idea. So the Air Force might have been smart by doing this, Tommy.
Okay. I'll give them that. We'll give them that.
But my favorite one, which I was really disappointed, let me tell you, I was really disappointed. Come to find out, they flew me back. I wasn't in the Air Force. Sure. They flew me back. I'm like, wow, I never heard of anyone totally get disqualified, can't go in the military. They said, we need to reschedule this appointment. So I went home and I waited a couple weeks or something, and they bought me another plane ticket, flew me back out to Phoenix, Arizona. I went through, all I had to do was that one color blindness test, essentially, and they set it up differently. A large room, bright, all the lights were on, a little tiny projector screen at the other end of the room. 2 colors would flash. And all I had to say was the 2 colors, and every time it changed, just tell them the 2 colors. And there was only 3 colors in the whole test. Red, green, white. That's all it was. I don't know what I saw, but I didn't see the white and the green and the red correctly necessarily. Little tiny dots. I'm like, give me a break. I can see everything up close, whatever. So they said, okay, we're going to let you in the Air Force. And we've got, some good news and we got some bad news. And I said, well, what's the bad news? The bad news is we don't know what job you're going to have.
Okay.
So that means they were going to stick me wherever the hell they wanted to put me, okay?
They need a body. Yeah.
The good news is you don't get the job that you wanted, which was EOD.
I was about to say earlier, what about EOD?
I'm going, so good news for you, bad news for me, but I'm just going, so can you imagine I'm disarming a bomb and I'm looking at the colored wires, and because of my color blindness, I look at the Sarge and go, hey, Sarge, what color wire did I cut the red one? I said, they all look red. They all look red.
I was going to say, they send you in because you're going to have ice in your veins. You're going to be like, I don't know what's right and wrong, so maybe I get this, maybe. So you have, whereas another guy might be going, oh, like, I'm about to blow this up, we're all dead. You're in there just singing, don't worry, be happy. You're like, hey, they're all red. Snip, snip, snip.
Became a marksman and everything. I could do everything for the pararescue guys physically and everything else, but that one, well, maybe my eyesight at the time, it wasn't too bad, but the color blindness pretty much that disqualifies you right away.
Yeah, I mean,
just those one things that I'm going, man. I remember talking to pilots and stuff when I was growing up because my My dad was in the Air Force. And I remember these guys, kind of in their, late 20s even. They had glasses. And I'm going, now, wait a minute. They have glasses. I'm the right height, and I can fit. I've been in cockpits before. I've been in these planes. I've flown in there. Like, come on. No, but you couldn't do it full time. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Well, it's weird, yeah, because especially this, I can't even say it with a straight face. It's such a dad joke. I was gonna say, well, I mean, think, man, World War II was all black and white anyway, so
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I couldn't even get it out with a straight face. I'm like, this is so bad. But
so here's the job they gave me, man. This is all connects here.
Historian.
They give you the list, and anybody who's been through this, so you get this dream sheet, whatever you want to call it, and it's kind of jobs you qualify for, right? Like, oh yeah, you can go wash clothes, and you can be a mover, move people's furniture, and you can work mortuary affairs. Which actually, now that I think about it, that might have been a good job on the outside. They make more money than I do right now, that's for sure. And I'm not talking about the corona. I'm just saying overall.
Just in general, yeah. Right in the morgue.
You make actually pretty good money, those morticians.
Sure.
So they gave me the commissary. I didn't even know what a commissary was.
I don't know.
Like, what's a commissary? I didn't have the jargon. I didn't have the language. What are you talking about? It's a freaking grocery store. You're going to work at a grocery store. And I'm going, the military has grocery stores? I'm a little pissed. I'm clueless. I'm going, I scored like 95 plus on the ASVAB. I'm going, I'm pretty dang smart, and you're going to put me in a grocery store. Well, what the heck am I going to do in there? Well, apparently I get to meet Chuck Yeager. Apparently, the short end of the story is I got to meet Chuck Yeager and talk to Chuck Yeager, because at Edwards Air Force Base is where all that stuff happened. Yeah. The Right Stuff movie filmed out there and everything. But of course, the X projects and everything. They were all out there. And when I did get to fly a little bit, I flew in a T-38, and it was the NASA version of it. So I got to do some backseat flying and stuff. I don't believe it, commissary guy, but I got to dress in Chuck Yeager's locker room. He had his own personal locker room, single room with his flight suit and everything, because he used to come back, even though he was retired, maybe he became General Yeager, he would come back from time to time and fly out of Edwards Air Force Base. He would still do some stuff up into his later years, and I thought that was quite interesting. So they, as a memorial to him, a living memorial.
Yeah.
So I'm getting dressed in my flight suit, and I look around, I go, wait a minute, he's got his name on General Yeager and all this stuff. That's his stuff right there, man. So it was really neat, to be able to get in touch with that history and stuff, even at Edwards Air Force Base, and to see that stuff. And then we had the modified SR-71 Blackbirds there.
The trainer?
No. They had what happened was the Air Force retired them officially, right? They retired them, and NASA bought at least 3 that I know. They bought 3.
Yeah.
They were stationed there at Edwards Air Force Base. I got to see these things up close. They reconfigured them and put 2 cockpits in there. Originally, they just had the single cockpit, right, and then all the cameras and everything on top, all that stuff. But then they modified it, and they put the 2 cockpits on there. So same plane, just some modifications, however they did it. And they were using it for all kinds of testing out of, at least, they were based out of Edwards Air Force Base. So you see those things flying around still out there in the 90s, into the mid-90s, just out of there. Just absolutely amazing. And you'd see them on the tarmac. You just see them out there, on the tarmac, and drive by the flight line and everything, just going, what the heck is that? And I don't have it with me, but I have a picture of one, and a big picture of one in my office back home. So, I mean, it's just neat, just some of the things that you would just see.
Yeah.
Ordinary, everyday life, depending on where you're based.
Yeah.
I mean, another incident was the space shuttle was still landing there at times. And so I remember one time I was going to driving from Southern California, there, Edwards Air Force Base, and go all the way to Great Falls, Montana, because Daniel, that was his first base up there in Great Falls, Montana. So we'd go up to Maelstrom, and I drove 2 days straight driving just up there. And it's early in the morning. I leave about 4:30 in the morning. I just want to get an early start, and I'm driving on going out the north gate of the base, and there is the modified 747 with.
Hey, your audio just cut out. Can't hear you. David Libby breaking everything.
We'll see.
There we go. There we're back. We're back.
Yeah, it's the NSA. They're checking on me again.
It says my internet's unstable. Yeah, they're always. Oh, it's because I'm running. I knew I opened Photoshop. Yeah, it's trying to update several things. Damn it! It's.
That always happens.
Hey, start talking about the SR-71 for too long, and whoop whoop, yep. They come in there. Hey guys, how you doing?
Not fast enough. Not fast enough.
Yeah, whenever I have on the EOD guy, Will Ely.
Yeah.
He comes on, and he was in the Secret Service, and we talk about EOD stuff. Or I say we, he does, and I sit here nodding. One time he was talking about buying the materials from Home Depot and was just listing them off. I swear, if I didn't have the worst internet from that moment for the rest of the day, just crumbled, and I'm like, well, that's what you get, man. Listing off he's like, you're gonna need acetone, you're gonna need bubble. He's going off, and it's it's breaking down. But I was gonna say SR-71. I saw one when I was really little. I was probably 6 or 7 on the Intrepid, the aircraft carrier on I guess moored in Manhattan. In Manhattan, right? Yeah, I vaguely. I think it was because that was the only one I knew what it was. Even when I was little, it's just I didn't even know what the words meant, but I just remember it was the Lockheed Martin SR-71 Blackbird. It was just that was just the whole name for it. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know which one was the actual jet. I didn't know which one was the brand. But man, seeing one on a tarmac, just.
Well, I saw 3. I guess I should clarify because I saw all 3 because they had at least 3 there at the time that I was there. And everybody that's been in that world, they understand this. It was the flying gas and leaking gas. Yeah. But literally, I mean, to be able to see that it has all this fuel getting ready to take off, and it's just
there.
It's leaving going.
Oh yeah,
this is a good thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They didn't have any environmental guys, checking that apparently and leaking all that stuff into the ground but whatever. It's neat.
What's crazy is that obviously as it got up to speed, as you know, it would heat up and the plates would expand and seal.
Yep.
And I remember watching a documentary on this within the last year or two. So a very recent documentary on the history of the SR-71. And they were talking about he's like, and you would think now that we look back at it in the 60s and 70s, we're like, look at these primitive guys. They didn't even know how to make it seal, so they just did that. And he goes, and this is an aerospace engineer, and he was like, no, the reality is now, in 2016, we still don't have a special glue. We still don't have the material science to make it work. So he's like, even now, so it's not, look how primitive they are. He's like, that is still the best route, is to just have it leak everywhere and then refill it.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah. Well, then you probably heard before your audio cut out, but the space shuttle landed there.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, 747, yeah.
And they had the space shuttle on top, docked, and they had a giant crane, and it was all lit up and then just out there where anyone could see it. I mean, it was just absolutely brilliant. I remember growing up there in Southern California, and when I was in elementary school back in the 80s, we took 4 field trips to Edwards Air Force Base to see the different space shuttles land, physically land out there. So
you watched them
going
land.
From that, going from that as a kid, right, and having kind of that aerospace connection, hearing, I can't wait to finish the interview with Duke about walking on the moon, and then the emotional roller coaster ride of when the Space Shuttle Challenger blew up in elementary school, the day that the only thing I know how to compare that to is I talked to my parents' generation when JFK was assassinated, and how everything just kind of came to a standstill, and that emotional weight hit. Well, that was the Challenger thing for me personally, and then be able to see it as an adult. Being stationed there and being able to walk on base, and every now and then you just hear sonic booms and you're ducking for cover and car alarms are going off because they're still testing stuff out there at Edwards. It was, and some of the stuff, even while you're there, you don't know what they're testing.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they can keep the secret. In Edwards Air Force Base is not necessarily this. I mean, they have top secret parts of it out there, but it's much more open than, say, the Tonopah Test Range up in Nevada, where the Stealth Fighter came out of. So, I mean, just amazing to me what they had out there. Amazing, absolutely amazing. And I think that one of the best thrills I had is they were retiring I want to say it was the Enterprise, Space Shuttle Enterprise. I think it was this. I think it was that one. And they had it on the back of a 747, and it was going to do a low flyby of Palmdale, California, because Plant 42 was out there, and also circle down around LA. I think LA, but I'm driving out of the West Gate now, and I kid you not, coming from behind me right overhead. This thing is coming in, and this thing flew right over me and banked off to the left, and you could just see it all up there. It was just absolutely amazing.
That's gotta.
There isn't anything else.
It's just gotta take your breath away.
Yeah, it did. It literally did. Now, ironically, I just happened to have the radio on at the same time, and the radio announcer was talking about this flight. And so, I'm only half paying attention. Right? Half paying attention. I'm not really looking out the windows, and I'm just cruising off the base. And Edwards is spread out, so you've got a long ways to drive before you're actually off the base. And then he's talking about this, and literally it buzzes my head. It literally flies out, and I'm going, I almost got in a wreck. I mean, it was that amazing to see the broad daylight, to see that, because I never saw that part before growing up. I only saw it land, but then flying before it made its final trip back to Florida or something like that, or whatever it was.
I can't.
And I wish we had that still.
I know. I was going to say,
I wish we still had those programs and stuff.
I know. I mean, we've got the Dragon capsule, right? But that's
a capsule. We went from a shuttle to a capsule.
I know, dude. It's hard. It's not the same. Like a space shuttle is like, it's a whole craft, right? It's like, I know it was unwieldy and it was like a money sinkhole, but it was just like I remember one time watching, maybe like late 2000s. It was towards the end of like the shuttle life, but it was like something was wrong at like the ISS.
Oh yeah.
And I remember they ended up readying 2 space shuttles because they're like, we need one to go up, and in case something happens, we want to have another ready. But I just remember seeing a photo, and it was on like Reddit, and it just, I remember just getting like the most intense goosebumps of my life looking at this photo, because it was just 2 readied space shuttles at night with the floodlights on them. And I was just looking, it was like, it was zoomed out far enough that you could see both pads, the movers, everything. And the sun setting, and it just dawned on me. I was like, we have a space fleet. Like, I was like, that was like the most, not like, rah, let's go drop bombs. That was the most like pro-American, like intoxicating goosebumps I'd ever had in my life. It was just like a Thursday evening, just looking at a picture on Reddit. And it was just, I was like, we have a space fleet. Not one, we have another in case something goes wrong. And where are they going? To the floating space station. Like, and then,
to me, that was a sign of American power and dominance. And,
the moon landing, it makes sense in hindsight. Yeah.
Right. And, like, where are we now? I mean, really?
I know. And
I feel like we've gone backwards.
We have.
When I was at Edwards, even at that time, when I flew around Edwards and stuff, too, because I did get to do a little bit of stuff out there. I just found a way. Let's just put it that way. Found a way.
Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge.
Yeah. Say commissary, but I found a way. We would deploy with the Army, actually. So I had Army training. So we did some other stuff, but I flew over where SpaceX is.
Okay.
And so it's not far from Edwards Air Force Base.
Yeah.
Where all that stuff is located. So we flew over that and looked at the hangars and, all that stuff, got to kind of fly around their flight patterns and stuff too for a while. And it was interesting. I liked, and I still like, the concept of civilians or private companies, competing against one another to be able to maybe create some, but that's been going on for years now. And I'm disappointed in the results overall, personally. Maybe other people aren't. I thought it was going to be a big deal when Virgin Galactic was looking at New Mexico when I was stationed out there.
Yep, the spaceport.
The spaceport, and I've actually driven by it, and it's a building out in the middle of the desert, and it's a great locale. but nothing.
Yeah,
You know, they
nothing
got
there.
runway and a building, and then nothing. They pulled out. You know,
Yeah.
you're just going. I don't
remember,
know.
I remember seeing that built. I remember reading about that in like Popular Mechanics. I think I was in high school, but I remember seeing the image. You know, it kind of just looked like an airport, but you were like, it's a spaceport, and it was just like,
Yeah,
I was like, we're there, we're doing it, and it's just
nothing.
And then
nothing's come of it.
It's like the water. It's like the tide hits the high mark, and then it just, you know, it's like what Hunter S. Thompson said about the '60s. He's like the peace and love and anti-war movement.
Right.
He was like, you can almost see the high water mark in L.A. in Hollywood, where it didn't get over the mountains, and you can see the mansions and the stuff up there, but the culture got just to there, and then it didn't reach over, and it pulled back, and now here we are. Well, Hunter S. Thompson obviously died a while ago, but he was like, it almost broke. If it got over the mountains, it would have spread over the nation and possibly the world. But he's like, you can see the high water mark. It feels like that's what it is. It's like, because I was listening to an interview with Charlie Duke, and he was talking about it, and he was like, you got to understand, like when we first landed on the moon, and he's like, a lot of us lived in the same neighborhood. It was like, a lot of kids were like, they knew like multiple neighbors who had been on the moon, and it was like, oh, we're very quickly like normalizing it though. It was like, okay, we're doing the thing, right? We're doing, right? It's, you know, it's like the first, I remember the first friend I saw with an iPhone freshman year of high school, huge screen, not a flip phone. I remember just being like, whoa, and then more and more and more, and then you get one, and it's like, and then it becomes normalized, right? That's what Charlie Duke talks about. He's like, you got them, you got those, and hey, yeah, my dad, and or, you know, my dad's brother, or, you know, my mom's brother, whatever. He went to the moon, and it was very understood that like it's just a matter of time before I go, you go, and then it's going to be nothing. And he goes, but it just,
and the generation that I'm working with, and I've worked with for the last many years in the public school sector, they have no idea who these people are.
I know.
None. This is not talked about. In fact, I'm gonna share that particular interview with my history teachers stuff down here and see if they even.
You should. It's
some young kids too. There's some young kids teaching too. I'm like, man,
it's G-rated. It is. You can show it to a kindergarten class. It's a good episode.
I'm so looking forward to listening to it on the way home.
Dude, it's.
But we went to, so. Again, space shuttles, International Space Station, right?
Getting it going.
Fleet.
Getting it going.
And then nothing, and you know, spaceport, and the spaceport. The idea, one of the ideas there, even from a commercial standpoint, is when I was in New Mexico, because I kept up on that stuff. I went to some briefings and news reports and stuff like that when they had live events or whatever, and you know, they were talking about, hey, look, you could launch from that spaceport in New Mexico, do that high parabolic arc, and you know, go to where's that place in Saudi Arabia, you know, where all they made the islands and stuff, you know, all that Dubai, and just do things like that. I'm like,
just go there
hours or something, you know.
And
to me that sounded cool, honestly.
That's what cool. Elon wants to do, is he wants to I love how far ahead he thinks, because it's I gotta. My mind's still stuck on the Apollo. I gotta roll it back for a minute. But that's what Elon wants to do. Is he wants to use his rockets to replace air travel. But it's like 30 minutes. It's like L.A. to like London, like 28 minutes. It's it's again what Charlie Duke talks about. Is he goes, you know, people used to get angry because they'd say we spent $100 billion on the moon, and he goes, we didn't spend a dime on the moon. He goes, we spent it all here in the United States of America. And I was like, yes. But he goes, if you look at the technological payoff on that investment, like true trickle down technology, he's talking in, you know, this video is from a couple of years ago. He's like, I was just in India. He goes, you know, the poor as all get out, but they've all got a cell phone. He goes, there are real life impacts from like the microchip technology, the microwave technology, the laser technology. It all trickled down.
Well, even the fuel technology.
Yes, everything about it. The material science, the radios, the life systems.
Communication.
Yes.
Interplanetary, intersolar, you know, all that stuff outside of the Earth.
And it's and not only that is, and I wish I could cite it off the top of my head. Normally I'm good at that, but I can't pull it up in my mind. But there was some study that showed that without the space race, actually without the Cold War, but primarily the space race, right now in 2020, without that, we should be at 2000 technology. So like this year, we should be getting like the click wheel iPod, but instead we're here. So he's like, sure, yeah, you can argue, okay, why are we spending money to go to a different, he's like, we have problems here, but he's like, the technological leap that happens, there's trillions of dollars worth of industry that happens because of that. And he's like, so it's like we reach forward and go to another planet or something, but it almost pulls all of us into the future, right?
Right.
And there's a delay, but I mean, it does happen. And I think we need that because, like, sure, a capsule, but I've had on a rocket scientist a couple times, Ken Mason, who is friends with the Tom Mueller of SpaceX. But he was like, I was like, Ken, let's do an episode on Halloween because we're launching another Dragon capsule. And he goes, I don't want to watch that.
Is this the guy that was talking about Venus and stuff like that? And who is that guy? Because I was watching.
Rob Manning. He's the head of NASA JPL.
Yeah, he was talking about. You guys were talking about going to Venus.
He is the head.
That was good too. Yeah,
he is the head of NASA JPL. All Mars rovers. That's him.
Yeah.
He's tippy top dog. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
But this other guy, Ken Mason, was a rocket scientist and worked under Bob Truax, who was like the father of like Navy missiles. Point being is, I was like, and you can see it. It's on. It's a couple episodes ago. No, it's like a week ago. But it's on the video towards the end. I'm like, Ken, are we going to do this thing? Let's watch the Dragon capsule. We can do it live on the podcast. And he goes, I don't want to watch that. Ken's like 70. I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, I've seen it all. He goes, I've seen it all. He's like, I remember us landing on the moon. I remember the space shuttle. We're just going slower and slower backwards. He goes, I don't want to watch that. And I was like, and I realized, like, that's true. Where is the goosebump? Where is the... I get it. Sure, we're doing it with private companies. We're doing it for less money. I get it. But, like, where's that, like, jaw on the floor? Mm-hmm. Oh, my God, we're on the moon. That's what we need. And I think I think we need to do it with Mars. Like, we need something, because, again, what Charlie Duke talks about, apparently now I'm a Charlie Duke expert, right? I've been watching interviews with him nonstop. But he goes, you got to remember, it's the 60s. He goes, the Vietnam War was tearing us apart, but the space program was bringing us together. It was a hot war over in Vietnam, but we won the Cold War back here. And he's like, we needed that. It's like, because, 62, Cuban Missile Crisis. 63, JFK killed. 65, 66, we start sending in advisors to Vietnam. But 69, it's raging, know. But then we land on the moon, and he's like, we needed this, like, this glue to keep us together. And I mean, what is a better, like, bipartisan, apolitical thing than just, like, let's go to the moon, let's plant the American flag and whip around in a Mars rover, like, 2 middle fingers USA. Like, maybe that's a gone era. Maybe nationalism is bad now. I don't think so. I just think we need that.
I think the problem with some of that might be just because of all the so-called woke people out there, that they would find ways.
Say it's racist.
Say it's racist. Yeah.
You're appropriating Martian atmosphere?
Yeah. Why are you using a female gender to say Venus?
Yeah. I know, right? Yeah. How come
that's not the right gender?
Why are we calling the ship a she? Like, she's beautiful. Yeah. Why is it her? Like, I don't know. Like, have you seen them trying to tear open in the last, like, 6 months or so, people have been bringing up, like, the problematic, that term, of, I think, Cronkite narrating John Glenn.
No.
Because, first American in space, yeah.
Right.
Because he goes, Godspeed, John Glenn. Why did you have to bring a God into this? Why does Christianity have to do... It's just a saying, Godspeed.
Right.
Just, God's, go get it.
Right.
The best. May the wind be at your back.
Right.
But I think that's what we need. Because maybe that will bring us all together. Maybe there's some...
I was just going to ask, are you thinking if we got behind something like that?
Yes, maybe that brings the woke people with us together. Maybe there's a woke guy with blue hair and lip piercings, but maybe he's just the best. Maybe he's the best radar technician there's ever been. And then you got a white guy with a motorcycle and a Trump hat, but maybe he's the best, he's the best rocket fuel guy. And maybe you can take these guys they have their surface, superficial cultural dressings, like a mask or clothes you put on, but maybe together they look at it as like, deep down, they're like, oh, I want to go to Mars. You know, I know it sounds like a cheesy, like, low-budget movie, but, like, I think that's what can happen. Is, like, if it's, like, go to Mars, like, people are gonna... You can get the most woke, you can get black, white, gay, straight, Republican, Democrat. I think if you get a bunch of geeks in the same room and you get Trump going, I'm gonna sign $1 trillion, get us to Mars by the end of this decade, and come back safely to Earth, just do JFK Part 2, I think you'd have a lot of people drop everything and be like, all right, whatever. Drop politics, who cares? I think I still have faith in the power of the geek and the pride of just, let's go do that, right? Yeah. Is that just me? Am I getting too excited? Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was wondering the same thing, if that would help to unite the country, and we wouldn't be listening to all this other garbage on the news and things like that, and watch things go downhill.
I think it would.
All right, let's talk Mars then, since you brought up Mars.
Let's do it.
Let's talk Mars.
Buckle up.
Yeah. So the technology that's on, and you've talked to better experts about it than myself, and I don't consider myself an expert necessarily. Just the technology that's there right now is that older rover technology stuff. I mean, we've got drones that would be so much better today if we could even get drones out there.
There's a drone in flight right now. Perseverance.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So when they get out there, you know what I mean? So as far as that goes, and then, but you and I were not, alive during the generation that put the men on the moon, as far as when they got it started. So we don't know what it felt like. We don't know what it meant to that generation, like our parents or grandparents' generation. For example, I'm thinking right now of the mindset of people. If we go to Mars, what is the mindset there? Do we have to go to either just say we did it and that's it? I don't think in the culture and society that we live in today, that's enough. Okay. What are we going to get from Mars? What do we get? What does America get from it? Do we go in there to build a base? Or are we really going to establish a colony like we've seen in all these science fiction films and books and posters and artwork? And are we going to harvest red dust? Well, I don't know. What are we going to get? Because I think that's the attraction. Are all these oil companies and precious mineral companies, do they see the value in it? I can't remember if it was one of your other episodes that I watched or something else I was reading up on. But when it comes to harvesting asteroids, for example, or comets or Venus or whatever, are those places filled more with gold? We'll find a way to get there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think it was one of your guys that you were.
Well, I have talked about that recently. Yeah. Asteroid mining. Yeah. What we need is China to say that they're going to Mars.
I was thinking we need a villain. We need an antagonist to make us be the protagonist to get out there.
Hey, it is. There's no taking it down. This podcast there's too many episodes online. There's no putting the cat back in the bottle. I am a big proponent of Cold War too. I think it's, I think it's bad, man, but I think great things come from it. And I'm not to,
I didn't think about it, but you're right. If China said, we're going,
we're going to the moon. We beat the right man to the moon.
Yeah,
right?
We'll go.
Yeah. Hello, America. Yeah. But if we beat them, the other way to look at it is to go, so not even gold in the sense that like, oh, shiny metal, right? Because what is the actual value of gold? Well, now with technology, there's actually a huge value of gold, not just because it's shiny, but because we actually use it in our consumer electronics.
And the space programs use probably the most of it.
Yes. Yeah. So there's actual value. It's not just look at this coin, right? There's actual maybe cheaper phones, cheaper laptops, cheaper Xboxes. What I think could happen, what I hope happens, is that we do look at asteroid mining. We look at these huge chunks of palladium and platinum and rhodium and gold and silver. And just like, just like building oil rigs in the middle of the ocean, if there's a profit incentive, we'll do some crazy stuff, right?
That's right.
If there's a profit incentive in the trillions, my hope is that we master getting to asteroids. And by mastering that, one thing we're going to do is, just like sending mail, you want to get to the point where the plane is the most efficient, it's got tailwinds, it's the most fuel efficient, because we want our mail there cheaper, right? We're UPS versus FedEx, whatever. If we can get all these asteroid mining companies going at it, if we can get Bezos or Zuckerberg going at it, what will happen is, you may be thinking, what does this have to do with Mars? Nothing, except the ability to get there. One of the costs they're going to try to hammer down is the reusability of rockets. If that technology trickles down, Mars could be, I think, more in reach.
Well, depending on where Mars is in the solar system at any time of the year,
the Mars window.
Mars is the natural base to launch expeditions into the asteroid belt.
Oh, there you go.
Because originally, if I understood the progress of technology and space program and stuff at the time, the moon was supposed to be that. We sent men to the moon and everything, established, or whatever, we brought back some rocks or whatever, and it does everything we were talking about earlier with increasing technology here back on the Earth, but that was supposed to be a launching point for intersolar and extrasolar exploration as well. But Mars seems like a stopping point, again, depending on where it's at in the solar system at the time of year, but it would be a natural base to launch in, expedition into the asteroid belt.
Makes perfect sense. I mean, we have harvest season here on Earth. Why wouldn't you just have harvest season on Mars?
That's right.
Here's their 3-month window. Go out and get it.
It's a resupply base for the asteroid workers and whatnot.
I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm like, sick them. Go sick ExxonMobil on it. Well, it's just profit. I'm like, sorry to burst your bubble, but that's what makes the world go around, all right? A great book, Accessory to War by Neil deGrasse Tyson. He talks about even like using like early latitude and longitude like expeditions going at, like, we remember it as like, oh, they were using the sextant and they were using how to map stuff, but reality, a lot of these like beautiful idyllic science expeditions, a lot of these had, I mean, literally was secret for hundreds of years after. It was the equivalent of like black ops. They also had like only 1 or 2 guys on the ship would know, but they were also out there mapping the coastline for the crown. So they're out there going, we're advancing science and learning about new shores, but you're also going, here's where the Navy can come, here's where we can go get a better trade. I mean,
here's the Deepwater Bay.
Yes, to bring our ships in here, hey, that's the reality of how this stuff works. I mean, let's go to the New World, Christopher Columbus, and it's like, nah, man, let's go get some gold. Let's go get right. And now we just stopped. I mean, how did we just go and take the West Coast? It was a gold rush. It wasn't like, let's go settle in California. It was, hey, there's gold. Let's go kill everyone in our way and come back rich.
There was, I don't know if it was one of your podcasts or something else I was listening to or reading up on. You said the gold rush, and there was a theory that's come out recently that...
that was this podcast, yeah.
Was it? Yeah. That was good too, man.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite theories. I think I heard last year. I think that's the best theory. There's no gold out there. Or they found one town, and they just go, hey, how do we go? We can send a military expedition, but, it's almost like conscripted men versus volunteers. 1 volunteer is worth 20 conscripted.
Right.
Hey, we can go get a bunch of conscripted men and say, hey, we're going on horseback out to the west. They're all going to die. No one's going to want to go. But if you tell a bunch of poor peasants and immigrants in New York and Boston, hey,
there's gold out there.
Them gold in them there mountains.
That's right.
That's how you just get a wave of 10 million people going out in wagons. It doesn't matter how many die. Even if 99% die, that's still what, like 9,000 that get there? So it's just fire away. We go settle it. By the time they're out there, there's no flights back home. There's no trains back home. There's no gold. Set up shop. Let's open a saloon. Oh, there's some engines out there. Kill them. Now the U.S. comes in and goes, well, we got to protect our citizens. Next thing you know, boom, turnkey, West Coast is ours, manifest destiny, point, set, match. Who cares about the gold? Oh, you got lied to. You're stuck out there. It took you 9 months to get there. You're not coming back here.
I was shaking my head when I watched that. Then I was
Isn't that a great idea?
That's not a bad idea.
So what is the next point? I mean, you want to go take half the nation.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we just go send the military, you're going to have a bunch of people going, the equivalent of woke people back then going, we can't just go out there, but you put money out there. Now everyone's like, it's our land, whatever. They're Indians. They're savages, right? But, give them some smallpox.
That's right.
I mean, so on that note, is it coming? I know. How long can you go for? What, an hour?
Yeah, it's about 4 minutes. About the half hour mark.
Okay,
yeah.
Got you. 12 more minutes. I got you. You're mine for 12 more minutes.
Yeah.
But you got to think, what is the current version of that? Could it be asteroid mining? Hey, get out! There's palladium in them there asteroid belts.
I'm sure there is, if they're not all just iron, right?
And who cares? If we can just go get them to set up a base. Gold Rush Part 2. Elon's going to get there and go, oh my God, there's fresh water and gold.
We're doing some, let's see if I can say this correctly, because you do interview some other folks that have worked in the black ops world and stuff. And so there's stuff that's potentially happening now on the civilian side, as far as, tracking Antifa and all that other stuff, and just doing research and whatnot. But is it going to be a black ops type thing too, though? Like you're saying, like you're suggesting that a government conspiracy of some sort, that we go get those asteroids to do what with them, though? I mean, ultimately, it still to me goes, is the palladium worth it? Well, can we turn it into a weapon, right? Can we attach rockets to the asteroid and say to the other country, you don't want to do it, we'll throw an asteroid at you now. I mean, forget nuclear bombs. We'll just throw an asteroid. I mean, what's the motivation for going out all the way to the asteroid belt, right?
Sure.
We can't do it, man.
I mean,
come on, you've talked to the experts.
Or why
can't do it yet.
Why openly threat, hey China, hey whoever, we're gonna hit you with an asteroid? Why verbally threat? Why not just have an asteroid hit? Oh my God! Wow, what a coincidence! You guys didn't like our trade tariffs, and all of a sudden, a small asteroid of 2 to 4 kilotons hit Beijing. Wow! Oh my God, that's so crazy that it happens. I mean, this would literally be mafia. Like, you need my security. Hey, we can sell you our asteroid detection program. Why don't you let us come in there?
Yeah, I know what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought. I was okay. I'll connect this for you. So, with on this, you've got these military people
Delta
with
guys.
certain skill sets to be able to research and track
Sure. Antifa
groups like the FBI, but the civilian side, let's just call it that. You always eventually look for who is funding them.
Mm-hmm.
Track the money, right? Follow the money. It's kind of like criminal investigation 101. You follow the money, and then you can find the bad guys, and put all the pieces together. And so you've got these, let's say, Zuckerberg type people that are funding Antifa and stuff, let's say. And I'm wondering if that is true, why waste your money there? Why not invest it into going to Mars, going to Venus, going to the asteroid belt and stuff? These guys that got those billions of dollars, if they actually want to do something good for mankind,
there's your cat.
Man, if they would just get rid of if they're doing stuff like that, and of course I don't know 100%, not 100%, but I mean, just if they're doing anything like that, man, redirect that,
you said
put it into something like that.
You just said, I think the problem is, if you want to do something good for humanity, I think there's your catch. I don't think that's the desire. People that are doing this stuff, if you're going to build an oil rig and you're going to go slaughter some indigenous peoples, hey, I get it. I don't support it, but hey, I get it. You're trying to increase that bottom line. People that are funding Antifa or something, this is all ideology. This is doctrine. Mm-hmm. This has nothing. There's no profit margin with them. It's like how YouTube is not profitable. On the books, it's not profitable.
So I don't understand the investment in it by these.
Because it's got political capital. You can have anything.
That's got to be it. Yeah.
You can have anything trend that you want.
Yeah.
You can have because who the hell's gonna know, right?
Well, and here's the thing. You're trying to get monetized, right? Let's say on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. As soon as you get monetized, you know what's going to happen, right? You're going to have a half an hour show interview, like with Duke, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have a half an hour, 35 minutes, I think is what it was. And you're going to have like 10 commercials in there in 30 minutes.
You get to choose. You get to choose
how many show up.
Yeah. So I would just do one at the beginning.
Okay.
To me, that's fair.
Yeah. When I'm listening to quote unquote conservative podcasts as well,
terrible.
They're flooded. And I'm like, are they scheduling that or is YouTube doing that on purpose? Because it frustrates the crap out of me when I'm trying to listen to podcasts.
That's the channel doing it. They're going for a money grab. Yeah. They're weird, man. You can run ads, and I ran an ad with the Delta Force guys I had on last week or 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
And I ran an ad on Facebook, like purposely chose a different corporation.
Sure.
And saw how many, it tells you how many clicks you get. You can choose whatever, you aim at wherever. Got it down to like whatever. And I looked at like the Facebook thing and I can see, and it's, let's just say 1,000 clicks, right? I saw it. Go over to YouTube and it's about like plus or minus 10%. So maybe I got 900 views on the video, maybe got 1,100. And then I ran another one like a week later and it was like 500 and it was like 450 to 550. It's pretty accurate. It's any disparity or difference, I think that's just whatever. That's it gets a little fuzzy.
Right.
I had on Mitzi Perdue last week, a woman who's heading winthisfight.org, which is an anti-human trafficking movement.
I didn't finish that one. Yeah, I haven't got a chance to watch that one yet. Yeah.
Yeah, she's brilliant, and I had her on last week, and we talked about that. And I tried to run an ad on it, and Facebook wouldn't let me. And so I was like, because we did talk about China, and I was like, okay, I can see some CCP money. So I tried to run an ad on Brigadier General Robert Spalding, author of Stealth War, a book about China trying to take over America. They rejected that one. I was like, all right, there's some CCP money in there. But, whatever. Hey, I don't like it, but that's a private company. You can do whatever you want. And what am I going to do? Beat my drum? They're censoring me. No one cares. So I tried again because I had on Mitzi Perdue yesterday. And we talked about human trafficking again. And we talked about what I'm telling you now, not being able to run an ad. So I tried to run an ad today on Mitzi Perdue again, and it didn't let me. So then I tried to run it a second time today, and I changed the title of the ad to Facebook won't allow me to advertise anti-human trafficking. Ad went right through, got approved. So, okay, but hear me out. I'll pull up the numbers right now. Let's see what it says.
Yeah.
Right now, I've spent $20.12 on it with 918 link clicks. I don't know how well you can see it. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Let's pull it up. That's weird because YouTube is only telling me that I have 128, not 918. Doesn't seem like that's within the margin of error. So it comes up that one of two things has to be happening. Either Facebook is lying to me, which I don't think they would because there's money involved, so therefore it would be fraud, or I am actually getting that many views on YouTube, but they are not reporting it to me or to my viewers just how many I'm getting, which has to raise the question, why the hell are they trying to reduce eyes on a video about anti-human trafficking?
Right.
What was that? I mean, do I need to put on the tinfoil hat to start pointing and go? I mean, but what is the reasoning behind it? Why is we didn't even say the word Republican, Democrat, didn't even say the words Trump or Biden. Nothing. What is that? That's nothing I'm doing. I'm just showing you the numbers. I'm not drawing any conclusions for you.
I'm with you. Yeah.
But you don't need me to convince you. I can show you. So what's going on? Well, you immediately assume, oh yeah, YouTube's doing something hairy. Why is that? I'll leave that food for thought.
Yeah, leave it food for thought. On a different note, it wasn't too long ago that the stealth fighter was back in action.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying necessarily military action, but it was out flying. I don't know if you watched those videos about the mock test and stuff from time to time.
They use like drones and stuff.
Well, they do the mock circles and stuff, and you got all the photographers out there.
Oh, the mock loop.
The mock loop, yeah, the mock loop. And so the stealth fighter was out there actually, and so they have some operational stealth fighters out there, and I'm curious to. I'm trying to. Yeah, they can't go mock. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, why are they in the mock loop?
Not why they were out there. They were there for the photo op. It's some great footage.
Yeah,
by the way.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. No,
amazing footage.
Mock loop footage is great.
And so, this was the premise that it was set up for. So they've got several stealth fighters, F-117A stealth fighters out there flying, and they're being used, if I understood it correctly, they're being used as they're pretending to be the bad guys in mock aerial combat situations with F-22s, the Joint Strike Fighters, the J-35, things like that. Yeah. So they're being used as that because even though our newer planes are stealth capability, but because of what China's been coming out with, as you know, and what Russia's been coming out with their stealth jets, they have to practice combat, basically aerial combat against other stealth fighters. And so they're going back to, in one sense, the original, and I think that's what it's being used for right now. So I'm not saying that it's been being used for actual combat missions right now, but it's being used for training purposes. How about that? So,
I mean, it's still so it's still so advanced. Like relative to the world technology, it is still so advanced.
Yeah,
even for 79.
Do some research. You'll see the footage on it. It's amazing. I mean, it's clear. I mean, these guys, if you've ever seen the mock loop stuff,
the footage is amazing.
Well, they're standing literally right on the mountain or the hill, and they're flying like so close to them. Yeah. And so you see the stealth pilot, he's waving, he's doing the whole photo op thing, man. You're like, that never would have happened before. By the way, that never. No, you would never be able to get that close in the past. There's not a chance. But now,
that's another reason we need to go back to the moon, man. We got to get some we got to get some 8K cameras up there. We got to get some of that National Geographic footage.
Hey, how come they don't have cameras going on and you can log in necessarily, with the internet, like I can put we're going to be launching our own, this is my tie-in here at the end of our time together, but so we'll be launching our own this winter. We're going to be launching our own YouTube channel with the farm and the survival stuff and everything. Okay. So it's called Maplewood Homestead and Farms. I'm working on that with the podcast and everything to go with it, but maybe even a separate channel as far as talking about these types of things and other things, kind of like what you do in a way.
Yeah.
So we're going to be launching that. The whole family's behind it. We want to set up internet cams on the property, showing you different stuff. So if people just want to watch what's farm life like, and they can do live streaming or whatever. We'll do some different things. We're expanding again as far as that survival process go. We're hoping to get to the point where we can eventually start putting deals and packages together for folks if they're interested in either having someone else raise their livestock for them, and we call it a chicken share or a goat share or a herd share. It's like a monthly subscription based type deal. That's basically what it's doing.
That's amazing.
And, you may not be able to raise this stuff on your own, or you choose not to, and because you do have the ability, but you choose not to. We'll let someone else do it for you, and we're going to be talking about those things. Yeah, in fact, when I talk about when the family wants to get involved, even our youngest daughter, she wants to start raising rabbits and things like that, and we raise it for meat. Or we will be, because we haven't expanded that, but we will be. She wants to just raise them to sell for pets, even, because she doesn't like that whole meat part, I guess. But we'll be doing that too. I mean, there's
awesome.
Lots of opportunity out there, and I see these other people. They're making these survival packages or whatever. But I'm going, okay, we're going to try a different approach and see if how folks, maybe not, but they'll look at the live animal side versus prepackaged stuff. We will. It's kind of like maybe if we can be successful in it, Tommy. Maybe we'll get to the point where you buy a timeshare into a bug out place that we can create for you.
That's awesome.
And it's fully stocked and stuff. And, we're running that part of the business to make sure it stays that way. And so
have your own little bunker.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that. I think I'm probably overstepping my bounds because I haven't spoke to my wife about that yet, but I still like that idea. I saw some other folks do that, and it's like a timeshare type deal,
Hey, so, 2020, it'll sell itself.
I think so.
COVID, riots. What's coming next?
That's right.
I mean, hey man, they sold. Well, yeah, they sold nuclear bunkers in the 50s, dude. That's how they.
Right. That's
those
right.
guys made some cash. Dried food. Yeah,
That's
dude.
Right.
Potable water.
I think though, outside of that type of stuff, I think where we would like to go, perhaps one day, if we just end up doing this for ourselves, as you know, then we end up doing it for ourselves. But if we can go out there and serve a greater community, then we'll do that. But I think one of the directions we would like to go in is, and there are, what I'm about to propose, there are schools or there are places like this here and there throughout the United States. A lot of times they're just inner city gardens, for example. So you think, garden, what are you talking about? Well, it's just teaching inner city kids where their food source comes from, but all they have access to is this little community garden.
Yeah.
What I'm proposing, if we can get funding for it, is we want to build a school that public school kids, whoever, homeschool kids, private school, it don't matter to us, they come and stay on the farm for either a week, a semester, whatever it is.
Sure.
So they have their dormitories, but it's farm-based. They're going to go to work and still get their certified curriculum or whatever they need to do that they would. But now they get the hands-on stuff that they would never, ever get. Even with an FFA program in a high school, no. We're talking you're sleeping there, you're working there, you're going to learn different, and we'll bring in other teachers and guest speakers and experts and ultimately that's kind of what we would like to do, and then just run it, just provide that.
I love it. I think it will work, man.
There's one up in, I want to say up where you're at. There's one like that up in New Hampshire. I don't know if the students actually spend the night and stay there. They might, but I read it in a magazine before I moved to Tennessee, and they had kids being bused all the way from Mississippi to go and attend this place. And of course, that place is doing really well. They make their own cheeses and stuff like that. So that, they sell that stuff on the side, but they were busing kids from Mississippi all the way up to New Hampshire so they could teach these kids. I look at it as survival. Okay. Yeah. I look at it as it used to be a way of life prior to and up through World War II.
It's still a way of life. We're just removed from the people who do it for us.
Well, and then people after World War II, they didn't care anymore. And so they got rid of the Victory Gardens. They got rid of that last, they moved to the bigger cities. And for almost 2 full generations, a lot of that knowledge wasn't necessarily passed down at all. And so we've been networking and stuff where we're at, and we've got mentors and we've got other people that, they're willing to pass down that knowledge to us hands-on, though, not just talking on the phone, but hands-on between livestock and gardening and electronics, believe it or not, other types of stuff, ham radio operator type stuff. And
dude,
there's all kinds of areas we're getting into here, Tommy.
You should bring in people and just film all of it and almost preserve.
That's what we're going to do.
Preserve it like an online library. Like I can go to Wikipedia or I can go to like Wolfram Alpha, right? I can get all these free courses of stuff of just people, right? It's like no one has to pay for the, well, granted, I don't have anyone on that teaches anything, but like, you could go on and you could show this is what you do with this seed in this season, and instead of having that thing die off with older generations, just put it on a YouTube video. It's there forever. You can just go get Farming 101.
We're going to do it.
You get big enough, and then you run a 30-second ad at the beginning. You get a penny here and there. You rack it up, and that's how you make your cash, though.
And before you know it, they're going to be calling me to say, okay, we want to start a colony on Mars, and we need to know how to
There you go.
stuff and in an
Who else would they call?
I don't know.
But seriously, who else? You get to a point where you're like, we need to be able to survive.
Right.
It's not rocket science. There is rocket science to get there, but once you get there, it's like we need. Does anyone know how to run a victory garden?
Yeah, is it dirt? It's dirt. I don't know what's in it necessarily. A lot of iron, maybe, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out. We'll do some composting and everything, and we'll get going.
Hey, we're getting back to square one and going to a new planet. We got to start out from the beginning.
I know I'm kind of out of time, but
I know
it kept me thinking about there really isn't a pioneering spirit in America anymore, and probably in the world. There's probably pockets of it, so I don't want to negate that necessarily. Sure. But overall, there isn't that pioneering spirit that we had in America. Like I have the pioneering spirit to build this first for our family, and then we like, well, wait a minute, other people around us maybe do, but on a bigger scale to provide to the community at large and whatever. No one's really doing that, what we're thinking about anyways. But I don't have a pioneering spirit to go to Mars like I did when I was young and single, for example. Like I wanted to be that guy. I would go. Sure. I mean, I would go. And now I'm like, I don't know, we're going to have to send those geeks, like you were saying. We're going to have to send the geeks out there. And maybe once the technology gets good enough and fast enough, then I'll go and do a site visit or something and teach you how to do something out there.
That's not pioneer, though.
I know.
That's you're just hopping on the train. But hey, I would say you do have pioneering, though.
Hey, a lot of pioneers died.
Well, that's no one. You wouldn't be able to be the guy that did. Everyone knows Neil Armstrong. Everyone knows Christopher Columbus.
Right.
Hey, there's a reason why. What's the reward?
I tell you what, if they asked me to be the first man on Mars, I'd probably say yes. To the chagrin of what I'm just saying and my whole family being pissed off at me, sign me up. Okay. History. I want my name in the history book. Let's do it.
You are that guy. Let's do it. But in a way, you do have pioneering spirit, though. The fact that you're trying to move away from school to this whole thing, that is pioneering. You're getting off the beaten path.
In a different way, sure.
In a different way. But it is. It's the same thing. There's risk. There's risk with turning down med school and starting a podcast. That is, no, it's not going across an ocean to a new land. But I mean, it's like, hey, I'm above my parents' garage. I'm 30 years old, man. There's a lot of risk. It's terrifying. It's depressing. But there is, why do I do it? Well, shit, what if I could be the next Joe Rogan, right? You got to have, a lot of people die. There's the risk.
Apparently, though, either you need to move to Texas or Nashville because, like, Ben Shapiro and all of them, because Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro, they're good friends. Yeah. Ben Shapiro's out in Nashville now, which is 2.5 hours away from me. So
you don't need to do anything. You can do whatever you want. You can do it from Maryland. You can do it from New Hampshire. You can do it from Mars. And internet connection's all you need. There's no hub. You used to have to go to Hollywood to do movies. There's no hub for podcasting. Do you have an IP address? You have a functioning webcam? Boom, do an episode.
Think of the satellite chain they'd have to have for communication to have good speeds.
Starlink?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say Elon's Starlink? Yeah. No, you wouldn't be able to do that. It would just be... I know you got to go. We're running over. I ran you 10 minutes over. I snuck in there. I got you. I snuck in there. That's how it's done. Watching a genius at work here. All right. Yeah, really. Yeah, right. I know, right? No, the geniuses go yesterday. Go watch Charlie Duke. That is a sharp guy.
Yeah. Amazing. All right, my friend.
David Libby, stay safe, brother. Till next time. Well, yeah. God bless America. Stay safe. Everybody stay safe out there. Love each other.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.